You've seen the clips, right? The smoke and Dar, the soldiers, the crowd shouting, Haki yetu, our right. Every news channel says the same thing. Tanzania is burning. But, it's not that simple. The headlines show the fire, but not what lit it. They tell you people are angry, but not why their anger sounds like heartbreak. So today, we are here to show you a clearer version of what's happening. Because we don't trust the media version of Africa, it always skips the middle part, the human part. What's happening in Tanzania isn't just protests, it's a whole nation arguing with its reflection. It's fear colliding with faith, silence colliding with truth. And you know, once you walk through those streets and listen, you realize this isn't the story of a country collapsing. It's the story of a country finally refusing to be quiet.
Tanzanians, as we are fighting for our country, my friend has been shot dead.
Let's get into it. So, yeah, everyone's seen the headlines. Tanzania in turmoil. Protests turn deadly. Western anchors saying those words in calm studio voices like they're narrating a movie that doesn't belong to real people. But, you know, when you're actually there, it doesn't sound like that. It's not loud all the time. It's not fire and fury 24/7. It's quieter, sadder. It's the sound of a country that's tired of pretending everything's fine. The cameras catch the smoke, but not the size. They film the clashes, but never the moments in between when people just stand there, hands on heads, wondering how their peaceful Tanzania became a place where soldiers outnumber voters. And look, we get it. Chaos makes better TV. But if you really look at those crowds, if you stand inside them for even a minute, you realize it's not chaos, it's clarity. The people aren't confused. They know exactly what they're fighting for.
Still firing. From various jurisdictional points of Tanzania, the police are still hunting down people, clamping down everyone they see in the street. Effectively, because they just feel like this is the only way to contain protesters.
They're fighting for the truth that doesn't come pre-approved by the state, for elections that feel like choices, not instructions, for leaders who don't hide behind slogans like Uhuru and Mandelio while signing deals no citizen ever sees. They're fighting to be heard in a country that loves to say, "We are united," but hates to prove it. For decades, Tanzania's calm reputation has been sold as proof of progress. But sometimes calm isn't peace, it's pressure pretending to behave. You walk through the streets of Dar es Salaam now, and it's like everyone's awake at the same time for the first time in years. You can feel the shift in the air. Conversations that used to be whispers are now open, raw, sometimes reckless. Taxi drivers talking politics, students arguing in cafes, mothers debating on buses. It's like the whole country suddenly remembered it has a voice and doesn't know how to lower it anymore. And, yeah, it's messy, it's tense, but it's also honest. And that honesty scares power more than any protest ever could. Because once people stop believing the story they've been told, they start writing their own, and you can't govern that. See, the media wants you to think Tanzania's losing control. But what if this isn't loss, it's liberation? What if this noise is just the sound of democracy finally learning to speak Swahili again?
And these demonstrators have had enough, burning pictures of their president with claims that hundreds have been killed after police opened fire.
Because, honestly, the country isn't breaking down. It's breaking open. And maybe, just maybe, that's what growth looks like. Painful, loud, necessary. So yeah, that's what they're not showing you. The chaos isn't the problem, it's the evidence. Evidence that something buried is trying to breathe again. And that brings us to the question the headlines never ask. How did a country so proud of its calm end up standing in smoke? You know that moment when you can feel something's wrong but everyone's acting normal? Like when a storm's coming and people keep talking about the weather being nice? Yeah, that's what Tanzania felt like before the election. Calm on the surface, but man, the air was thick. People already knew the result before a single vote was cast. Chama cha Mapinduzi CCM, the ruling party, had been in power for over 60 years. 60. That's not a government anymore. That's a tradition. They don't win elections, they inherit them. And the opposition? Yeah, they never stood a chance. Tundu Lissu, probably the loudest voice of real opposition, was arrested under treason and cybercrime charges. Another key challenger, Luhaga Mpina, was disqualified. It's like setting up a football match and arresting the other team before kickoff. Still, the rallies happened. The posters went up. People queued. The polling stations opened. Everything looked like democracy, smelled like democracy, until you touched it. Then you realized, nah, this was theater. A performance to convince the world that Tanzania still follows the script. When the results came, 97.6% for President Samia Suluhu Hassan, even the die-hard supporters paused for a second. 97%? Come on. That's not a landslide, that's a landslip. That's numbers bending reality until it fits on a podium. The next morning, state media was celebrating the triumph of democracy. Meanwhile, the streets were already filling with people who felt cheated. You could see it in their faces, that quiet anger that's way scarier than shouting. It's the kind of anger that comes from betrayal, not surprise. Because this wasn't about losing an election. It was about realizing the election was never really theirs. And here's the thing, the media doesn't say, these protests didn't start because people suddenly became violent. They started because people finally stopped being polite. There's a difference. Tanzanians have always been calm, respectful, and even gentle in their defiance. But this time, the calm snapped. A group of young men had gathered around a tiny radio, the old kind with a broken antenna. The official announcement came through, 97.6%, and one guy just laughed, you know? But not like it wasn't funny. It was the kind of laugh that hurts. He said, even God doesn't get that kind of score. Western media later called it unrest. But honestly, it looked more like a revelation. Like a country finally realizing that democracy without choice is just dictatorship with good manners. And that's when the real story began. Not in the ballot box, but in the blackout that followed. Because what happened next wasn't just political, it was psychological. Tanzania didn't just lose faith that night, it lost its voice. It's funny how silence can be the loudest thing you've ever heard. That night, the night after the results, Tanzania went quiet in a way that didn't feel natural. It wasn't peace, it was control. Around 10 p.m., phones started acting weird. WhatsApp messages stopped sending. People thought maybe the network was down. But then X froze. Facebook disappeared. Even the local news sites went blank. And suddenly, the country that's always online, always scrolling, chatting, trading, joking, just vanished. The government said it was a temporary security measure. That's their phrase for everything. But when you shut down the internet, you don't just stop communication, you stop connection. You take away the air from an entire generation that lives on it. And yet, people found ways. Students in Arusha started sharing protest footage through Bluetooth. In Dodoma, taxi drivers became messengers, ferrying updates between neighborhoods. Someone even joked, Tanzania just invented 3G, gossip, grit, and guts. That's the thing about people. You can't really silence them. You can delay them, sure, but not delete them. Still, the blackout had consequences. Hospitals couldn't coordinate. Journalists couldn't verify anything. Banks froze transactions. Farmers who rely on mobile payments couldn't buy supplies. It wasn't just about politics anymore. It was survival. And when the truth goes dark, rumors light up. Some said soldiers were moving into cities. Others whispered about mass arrests. No one knew what was real. When information dies, fear takes its place. But, the saddest part wasn't even the blackout itself. It was how fast it became normal. Within a few hours, people just adjusted, like they'd been here before. Like silence was something they'd practiced. And that's when it hit you. This wasn't about stopping chaos. It was about stopping the connection, the kind that creates accountability. Because once people stop talking to each other, the state can start talking for everyone. And that's when truth doesn't die. It just disappears quietly, like a signal lost in the night. So, yeah, that's the night Tanzania went silent. But silence doesn't last forever, does it? Because when you take people's voices away long enough, eventually they start shouting without words. Let's pause for a second to say, Big thank you to the Black Culture Diary community, where Black voices, stories, and legacies are preserved and amplified. By becoming a member, you're not just supporting the channel, you're becoming part of a powerful cultural movement. Let's continue. You know, after a few days of silence, something strange happens. The truth starts whispering through the cracks, not through newspapers or statements, but through faces, through eyes that don't look straight at you anymore. The official story said 10 people had died. 10. Nice, round, manageable number. The kind you can say at a press conference without flinching. But on the ground, people were talking about hundreds. Some said 700, others more. And the thing is, nobody could prove anything, not because it wasn't true, but because proving it had become illegal. When you control the numbers, you control the narrative. 10 dead sounds like manageable tension. 700 dead sounds like massacre. And one of those headlines ruins your investment climate. Western diplomats released their usual lines, deep concern, urging restraint. You know, people had started to realize those phrases are like weather forecasts for human rights. It might rain, it might not, and either way, no one's coming to help. And here's the twisted irony. The same governments tweeting sympathy are the ones who trained the security units now patrolling Tanzanian streets. The same ones that sold the tear gas and surveillance software being used right now.
The police are responding to the protests with tear gas and live bullets. We are urging them to exercise restraint and facilitate the right to protest in Tanzania.
And when a government makes people afraid to count their dead, that's when you know something deep has broken. Because look, numbers can be denied, but absence echoes. And that echo, it's what brought the youth back to the streets. They weren't marching for politics anymore. They were marching for proof. Here's a reminder to please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. So, you could feel it coming. That kind of tension doesn't vanish. It transforms. The same silence that buried fear started to feed courage. And suddenly, Tanzania's youth, the ones who've grown up online, who've seen the world through cracked phone screens, decided they weren't going to wait anymore. It started small, groups of students walking out of dorms. A few mechanics are shutting their workshops to join them. Farmers are leaving fields to block roads. No official leader, no party logo, just handwritten signs and voices, tired but steady. And man, they were young. Some of them looked barely 18. That's what's wild about this generation. They don't fight with machetes, they fight with memory. And you know, there's something powerful about that. These kids, they record everything. Every chant, every chase, every wound. Even when the internet's down, they keep filming, saving it for later. They're not just resisting, they're archiving, building a library of proof for a tomorrow that might listen. That's the kind of clarity that scares governments. Because once people stop fearing punishment, authority starts to shrink. And it's not just anger driving them, it's something deeper. Pride, hope. You can see it in the way they talk, not about destroying Tanzania, but saving it. They say things like, "We want the Tanzania they promised." They still believe in the country. They just don't believe in who's running it. Even the slogans sound different now. Less political, more personal. Our voice cannot be deleted. That one's everywhere, on walls, buses, even school books. A generation refusing to vanish quietly. And look, it's messy. Some protests got violent, some kids got scared, but that's what awakening looks like. Uneven, emotional, human. This isn't rebellion for rebellion's sake. It's recognition. It's saying we're here, we matter, we remember. You can turn off the internet, but not identity. You can block the signal, but not the story. Because this time, Tanzania's story is being told by those who refuse to disappear. You know, every time you talk to someone in power here, they start the same way. Look at the projects, and yeah, sure. Look, Tanzania is building. Big time. You've got the standard gauge railway slicing across the country, the Mwalimu Nyerere hydropower project roaring on the Rufiji River, new highways, ports, and towers climbing out of dust. it's impressive. Even critics admit that. But here's the thing. Progress isn't supposed to leave people behind while it passes by. They build infrastructure, but they forget intimacy. You can pour concrete all day, but if the person walking on it can't afford lunch, that's not development, that's decoration. And what's worse, whenever someone questions this version of progress, the answer is always the same. We're doing this for stability, as if justice is a luxury, not a foundation. Tanzania's leaders love to talk about sovereignty. They'll tell you proudly, "We don't bow to the IMF. We don't need the West." It's rare to see an African country look the West in the eye and say no. But sovereignty isn't just about rejecting outsiders, it's about respecting insiders. You can't shout independence abroad while muting your own people at home. And you know what's crazy? The Western press still claps. They call this a model of African success. Because to them, success means stable contracts, not stable communities. They don't care if people can vote, they care if investors can land. But this is where things start to twist, because that same government that silences protests also refuses to surrender its economic independence. It's a strange balance, brutal on the inside, brave on the outside, like a country wearing armor against foreigners but using it on its own citizens. And maybe that's what makes Tanzania's story so complicated. It's both the problem and the possibility. A nation trying to stand tall, but forgetting that real strength isn't built on silence. Progress is supposed to mean inclusion, not intimidation. If you have to shut people up to show you're moving forward, maybe you're walking in the wrong direction. And that's the question Tanzania faces now. Can you build a future while breaking the very people meant to live in it? Because man, if this is the price of progress, then maybe it's time to ask who's really paying it. So tell us, do you still think silence means peace? Let us know in the comment section. If progress needs fear to survive, is it really progress? Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If so, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the Black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious Blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.